Hi, I'm Yannick Hanfman.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Dennis Kudla.
This is Sebastian Olfner.
It's Marc-Andrea Whistler.
I am Francisco Cerundolo.
And you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hopefully you enjoy it.
Hopefully.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we go, 1 week away from the US Open. And haven't we had some fantastic tennis to really get the taste buds going? We had Djokovic versus Alcaraz. We'll go into that in a second. And we had Coco Gauff winning her first ever Masters event. JG, fresh, back from Budapest, ready to talk tennis. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, not bad. I've been out on the streets of Budapest with Martin Fucsovic, having such a great time. The real disappointing thing is, obviously, I planned the trip a few weeks ago now, and I never really factored in the fact that I could have potentially had an Alcaraz-Djokovic final matchup. Because if I would have, I would never have planned the trip. The thing with tennis is you never really know what's around the corner. And in life, if you ever book a trip, you just never know if it's going to work out. Like, potentially, it could have been a final against anyone else. Them two may not have been even in the tournament. But it was always going to be that I was going to miss it. I'm disappointed about that because I really do feel like in men's tennis at the moment, that is the match. I don't really think there's another one which excites me like that one would. Of course, Rafael Nadal against some of the top players is always good, but he's coming towards the end of his career. He can't push Djokovic like Alcaraz seems to be able to do at the moment. But on a clay court of Roland Garros, I would never put that past him. But still, Rafa's not playing at the moment, so that is the one matchup. The only other one I really like is Medvedev Djokovic on a hard court. I think that can sometimes be quite exciting. Holger Rune, if he's really in inspired form against one of the top players. But all in all, Djokovic Alcaraz, to miss that is really, really disappointing. But shout out to you. You did a great job. And I did catch a bit of your stream. And we're going to be talking about that matchup, I'm sure, on today's episode of The Countdown.
Novak Djokovic has won the Australian Open. 35 matches unbeaten. He's done it. Carlos Alcaraz. He wins his 14th Roland Garros title.
Carlos Alcaraz wins the US Open and his first Grand Slam title.
Yeah, well, Carlos Alcaraz, the reigning, defending US Open champion. And we're sort of going against what we designed the countdown to be. I was sort of thinking we would be going with a different contender every single episode. But because of that match that we've just had yesterday, I think it's only fair that we go back and we touch on that because it is the thing everybody in the tennis world is talking about. Djokovic, Alcaraz, the number one, the number two in the world. They're both incredible tennis players and they put on an absolute masterclass. I mean, it was
a clinic on how to play tennis.
It was amazing. I mean, it was sort of like we just got treated to it was like a Grand Slam final. That's all that I can compare it to. That's what it felt like watching it. It was that dramatic. It had that much great tennis. It had its ups, its downs. It had Djokovic 3 double faults in a row at one point, and you thought, what is going on? But he came through, he prevailed, and it was the youngster versus the older, the new guard, the old guard. It had everything. And I just feel that this rivalry, I'm just sad that Djokovic is at the age he is, because I would love to see this for another, 20 years if we could have it, but I don't think it's going to be that way.
Yeah, and Alcaraz had a match point, didn't he, in the second set? So he had an opportunity to end it there, and it went on all the way to the depths of a third set tie break. And the moment I saw that flick, I was thinking there's only going to be one winner, and that's exactly how it played out. Alcaraz so close, but yet so far. It was a fantastic match. Not much separated them. thought Alcaraz looked the stronger player until Djokovic had a lease of life, and he just looked a different player in spells. I don't understand how Djokovic has done it yet again. Like, how many? I don't think I've ever seen any sportsman, not just tennis now, where during the duration of the match, they look completely shattered and out of it. Like he was just done. Like it didn't see like a way back for him. He was physically struggling with the conditions, with just the intensity of Carlos Alcaraz. Has a few stoppages, and before you know it, he's just back to his best and just outplaying Alcaraz in spells and finding more energy than him. I just don't understand how that's possible. Like, how can he do that all the time?
I have no idea, but the way that they both play, like Alcaraz was making Djokovic play another shot every single time. He was having to play into the corner, play a drop volley. It had to be the best drop volley you've ever seen that just went over the net. And Alcaraz was still sliding to the net. And when he couldn't get to them, Alcaraz, he was applauding Djokovic because he's like, there's not many I can't get to. And when Djokovic was having these ones whiz past him, he was like, oh my word, applause. It was like rounds of applause from both players constantly because the level was just so high that it's what tennis should be. It was like a dreamland. It's like when we watched Rafa and Djokovic that time at Roland Garros, and you just thought, this is how the sport's supposed to be played. If I could watch this every week, then I would be in absolute dreamland. But unfortunately, we don't have players, everyone like that. If we did, maybe it wouldn't look as great. But I don't know. I was lost for words last night because it just kept getting crazier and crazier. And it went on until the early hours of the morning in the UK. I think it eventually ended around 2 a.m., which was absolutely nuts. I'm sure my neighbours loved that. It was going crazy. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And I feel that Novak Djokovic, 39 Masters, and he's levelled the head-to-head now. It's now 2-2. It could have been 3-1. Now it's 2-2. He's now got a little mental edge. He's won their only match on hard court. They played on every surface now. Is that going to be a little... I feel like he needed that. I feel like if Alcaraz had got the 3-1 lead and the only loss was when Alcaraz mentally just wasn't quite there and his body just messed up because of the mental side, I think Djokovic might have struggled like playing him the next time. But now I think that would have given him so much confidence now.
I totally agree. I think it was super important that Djokovic won this one. I think from a neutral's perspective, if you're not a fan of either player, I know most people in the sport of tennis probably do have their alliances to one of them. But what this has done for the sport is taken it to another level because Djokovic, I feel, if he would have lost to Alcaraz, like you said, it would have started to look like he can't really stick with the new generation in Carlos. But now, going into the US Open, all eyes will be on that potential. It would have to be a final. And I think it is swinging more in favour of Djokovic slightly because he's got the last win and the only win on the hard courts in America. And I'm sure the betting odds reflect that now.
I mean, it was so close, though. I mean, this is something that you need to look at as well. Let's go down and just look at the third set quickly because this is how ridiculous it was once you got past 2-2 in the third. Break points. Tons of break points. Finally got the break. He was up 5-3, serving for the match, had match points, and then broken. No, sorry. He had the match points on Carlos's serve to break him, and then Carlos held. And then he was serving for the match, had match points, and got broken on that. I mean, look how long these games are. Every single game was a battle of attrition until the really interesting thing was about this game here. It was so tough for Alcaraz to eventually hold serve, and it was like when he celebrated at the end, it was like he won the match. It was that much of a tough game that you see this next game. It was like he took his like his mental had gone. He took his foot off the pedal. Djokovic held really easily. And then he went into the tiebreak, and Djokovic was Djokovic in that final tiebreak. And yeah, he just outdid him with the strategy and the mental side of the game.
Well, it's clear to see these are the two players who can win the US Open. I know I was chatting highly of Daniel Medvedev on the last episode. I'm not going to be too critical of him. And of course, he's got a chance. But it just seems like the other two are leaps and bounds above him at this very moment. And
yeah,
Alcaraz against Medvedev, I think that'll be an ugly match for Daniel. It'll be straight sets. And we could see an ugly scoreline, maybe a breadstick or a bagel in a few of them. In terms of Djokovic, Medvedev, that could be closer. But Alcaraz has a massive shot of this US Open, and it does seem like Yannick Sinner, Zverev, Tsitsipas, Ruud, Rune, I feel like they're just a little bit, they're just out the way a little. I don't look at them as real contenders. It's got to be a two-horse race.
I mean, if we don't get that final, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not going to lie.
Well, that'll be back-to-back Grand Slams then, because we had it at Wimbledon, and Alcaraz beat him. You'd expect Alcaraz to do better than he did at Wimbledon than to Djokovic in a Grand Slam final, considering Djokovic is such a beast on grass and Alcaraz doesn't have much experience. And he still beat him then. So, I mean, I can't call it if we are to get the final. Of course, I'll be cheering on Carlos because I can't have Djokovic going too far in front of Rafa. But he had a lot of nice things to say, talking to Rafa, actually, because Djokovic, after the match, he said, Carlos Alcaraz reminds me of not just Rafa Nadal, but the prime Rafa. He used the word prime Rafa. And we also saw his praise after Wimbledon, saying he's got a few of the components of all of the big three. Alcaraz has come out and said, I don't like that comment. I don't agree with it. I feel like I'm Carlos Alcaraz. I'm not like any of the big three. I'm my own player. And I think a big reason why he's doing that is to try and sell his name. He's trying to put it out there to the tennis media, to fans of the sport, to try and show that Carlos Alcaraz can be that name. And I understand why he's doing it, but I feel like it's going to take some time for that to catch on. Because everyone will always talk about the big three, I feel, for a lot of years until Alcaraz, I think at least another 5 years or maybe longer, because I feel like you need the other guys to pick up handful of slams. They're nowhere near it. Do you know what I mean? They're in the start of their journey. So until that happens, I'm afraid to say for Carlos, he's always going to be drawn in comparisons to the big three.
Most definitely. It's hard not to.
You can't avoid it. It's unavoidable.
Until you come anywhere close to where they are in their numbers, you can't really even...
I say 5 years. I think it's going to have to probably be about 10 years, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he's going to have to get at least, I feel, he's going to have to get past double figures in slams before we even start talking about it, to be honest. And that's how far they've put themselves ahead of everybody else in the game. So...
And there's no certainty he's going to do that. Despite how good he is, there's no certainty in sport. You never know what is around the corner from 1 year to the next.
Exactly. What players are going to come through in the future? There may be another person who's faster than him, is harder hitting than him. Can you believe that? I'm not sure I can, but it could happen. There are players out there that are yet to be discovered. Doesn't he have a brother?
Yeah. Jamie.
Yeah.
And he's following a similar trajectory. And I've seen you play as well, and people don't realise the power you have. You never know. You could make a late little blossom onto the tour like Aslan Karatsev did.
Maybe.
That backhand you've got, I mean, that could rival any of the top players.
I scamper around the court a little bit, but I don't think I've quite got the legs that Alcaraz has. Nowhere near. He is amazing. I think the one thing that everyone can agree on, he is amazing. He was 1 point away from just winning that match, and that's how close it is between him and Djokovic at the moment. It's like you can cut it with a knife. But here we go. You can just see on the screen here, Djokovic now the favourite for the US Open, though. He's been pushed up after that win. It was Alcaraz and Djokovic in second. And Medvedev stays the same. Sinner's odds shortened slightly, and that's about it.
Let's move on to the women. So we've done the men's. probably some people are sick of us keep talking about Carlos Alcaraz and
no
Djokovic,
way.
but probably not. I don't know. I feel like there's so much to say about them too. We could do the whole episode on there, but we will be speaking now about Coco Gauff, the Cincinnati champion, beating Mukova in the final. Not many people would have expected Mukova to make it all the way to that final. She's brilliant on the clay, but she's shown she can now do it on the hard courts. And it's weird because she didn't really come into this event in much form. That Montreal performance I thought was disappointing, losing to Pegula very comfortably. But the biggest news wasn't actually the final, it was a semi-final, because she's finally beaten Iga. And what did you say? It was 8 attempts or something.
Yes, I mean, she had a 7-0 record against Coco Gauff, and I've said it at the end of this match, I had to cover the last part of the match. Unfortunately for Covey, he had to nip off to the vet, and I had to jump in just for the best bit, really. I felt terrible for him. But I said, this is like cometh the hour, cometh the woman. I said it's now Coco Gauff's moment. She has now managed to win her biggest title in America as well. She's finally beaten Iga Swiatek, which is sort of like the elephant in the room, like when you're playing her for an 8th time and everybody just expects you to lose. And she comes through and she defeats her in 3 hard-fought sets. I thought it was an incredible performance from Coco Gauff. And after that, I thought she's won this tournament. I didn't even think Mukova was going to be able to challenge her in the final. And that's no disrespect.
No, me too. I thought that as well. I think it was really important for her confidence and her mental to be able to beat Iga. She went into that final fearless and played great tennis. What impressed me the most about her performance here was a defensive game. I thought Iga saving that match point in the third with that big hit, and it just looked like maybe they were just going to escape her and she wouldn't get another opportunity of a match point. Iga breaking back and just like taking it over. And that, I feel like, is the story of a lot of matches with Iga against other players who come close to beating her. But if...
Oh, we lost you for a second. Just while...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Now go again.
Yeah, so with this, I've been calling this for the last 3 times they've played. So I'm not that shocked I've seen it. It's happened now. I've seen it coming. But I've just been wrong every time. And I didn't do the draw preview for this one, so I don't know what I would have picked. But I've felt that Coco Gauff is going to beat her at some point in a big match. It's just a matter of time. Do I think this is now the turning point? Not really. I feel like it's... I know you're saying it is, but I think it's just a case of she's always had that ability to be able to beat a top player in a big moment. Consistently, can she do this week on, week out? I've not seen enough evidence of it yet. I'm not now looking at her at the US Open. I know she's our contender to speak about, but I'm not looking at her that much differently after winning Cincinnati than I would have before.
That's weird, because I actually am. I feel that if you look at her results, even from Montreal, I know that she lost to Pegula, her doubles partner as well, someone who knows her game pretty well and was the eventual champion in that tournament. She actually probably gave her one of her toughest matches of that whole entire week, did Coco Gauff. To go on from that, look at it, she bageled Vondrousova, Grand Slam champion in that tournament, came through, beats another Grand Slam champion and another Grand Slam finalist in the final. So I feel like there was just something missing for Coco Gauff to be able to get a tournament like this over the line. And now that it's just a week away from the US Open, surely this is the perfect catalyst just to carry it through. All of America will have heard about this. Everybody will be excited now. It's just for her now to stay laser focused and just remember what you did. Because I think that's what she had problems with. The forehand was always a problem. People were targeting
exactly
it.
That. The forehand's been so bad recently that I feel she's not been able to compete. But when everything's going well and she's playing her best tennis, she's top 5 player in the world. You can put her up there with the big 3. I think a little bit behind them because I don't think she necessarily has the same power and weapons what they do. But the reason I don't see this much differently is because I feel in these real big moments of like a Grand Slam, I don't know if against the bigger hitters, I don't see her being able to do it. I know she did it against Iga, so she's shown it, but that's once out of 8. I mean, does it mean she can have another 7 attempts just to get another 8 attempts, to get another 1 win? Maybe not, but it could be 4 attempts.
It's probably worth noting. Still only 19 years of age as well, so still a teenager, still growing, and just because she's been on the tour for quite a while, we seem to think that she should be much better than she actually is. She's just always coming up against tough opposition, and she does have a lot of weight on her shoulders, I think, as well, because everybody expecting her to do something all the time. There's
well, it's like the point you just said about the US thing as well, like being in the US Open, and what the crowd are like in New York.
Yeah,
and they've adored Serena Williams for so many years there. And it seems like she is the natural replacement from America. You could maybe say Pegula, but I don't feel like she lifts the crowd like Coco does. Yeah. She's more of a favourite, and I feel she is the next in line to Serena Williams, who could get a lot of people behind her. She'll get the average American, I think, watching tennis to see how Coco Gauff gets on at the US Open.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's see where she is now in these odds for the US Open. And Iga's still the favourite. We've got Saba second, Rybakina in third, and we've got
happened to her? She pulled out again, did she?
Yeah, she withdrew from the last event. Yeah. She was playing Paolini.
It's happened a lot this year. It's too many withdrawals.
Well, that whole tournament was riddled with withdrawals. I mean, guess it's fairly close to the US Open, so precautions, but a lot of withdrawals on the men's and women's side. I don't know how many of them to believe are actual true injuries. Obviously, Holger Luna, he pulled out injured with a lower back. Fokina, lower back. Rybakina, out as well. I don't know what her injury was. I know she had I think it's that shoulder she always has taped like heavily in recent months. So there's a few players carrying a few knocks coming into this US Open, and if you're one of the fresh ones, maybe you'll be able to go a bit further than some of these ones.
There we go. Anyway, let's move on to the next section of the countdown, and it's going to be latest news. And I've just realised we forgot to press the Contenders button, so maybe we'll have to add that one in later.
That's fine. I think we can miss it for today.
Right, so let's speak about latest news. This is where we go to Twitter and see some of the latest US Open news. We'll go through 5 tweets or so. And what is the first one?
Well. This news, Simona Halep has been automatically withdrawn from the US Open amid her provisional doping ban. I saw Jose Morgado tweeting about this earlier as well, saying it's just taken so long. I think it's from last October or something.
Yeah, it's dragging out. I mean, is she innocent or guilty?
This is what... I don't know. And there's part of me thinking, with all of the stuff that's going on in the world today, you're going to call me conspiracy, Ben, but when they want somebody silenced or they want to make you look guilty of something maybe you haven't even done, they're able to do it these days. And we've seen it with other people in like media or influencers or people like that. There are allegations that come out against you when maybe you have views that don't agree with other people. So I'm not saying that is the case, but I'm saying I'm not even sure what to believe anymore on anything. When they want someone to go away, they tend to go away.
I don't know. It just seems like something's going like this. There's got to be something there. And it just, things don't look good for Simona Halep, let's be honest. Coming towards the end of her career, I don't think she'll play tennis again. I'll put it out there.
Very sad, that is. Yeah. I mean, that would be devastating.
I could be totally wrong, but I don't think she's going to play again. And, well, the news here is that she's withdrawn from the US Open.
Yeah, she's been physically withdrawn automatically. And there you go. It's just more of the same news.
Taylor Townsend into the main draw. That's pretty good.
Well done for her. Just going to get rid of this one. This is an ad, right? Moving down. Oh, I thought these ones might be on there.
Typical. So Djokovic and Alcaraz are the only ones who can win the US Open. And they got Yannick Sinner turning around. I mean, he's been good recently. He's had a great year. He's definitely progressing. Can he beat Djokovic? No, he can't. I'm sorry. I still don't see him beating Novak Djokovic. He crumbled at Wimbledon. I thought it was a weak performance. He didn't play anyone great. He had a nice draw. You'd think that would help him because he's not exerted his body too much. And we've spoke about his physical issues many times. You could maybe look at it on the other way, saying it because he didn't play anyone good, he wasn't able to get up to the level to play Djokovic. Either way, I don't see him beating him. Alcaraz, he can come closer and it will be a good match, I'm sure. But Djokovic, I don't see him beating him.
I feel that Alcaraz is moving at a fast trajectory, though. And if you don't try and keep hold of his coattails, then he will disappear into the distance. That's the problem with Alcaraz.
Yeah. And with Sinner, I feel to win the US Open, he's probably going to have to beat Djokovic at some point.
Probably.
I can just see it happening. He's going to have to beat him.
He's going to get on court and then his head's going to go down and then the Carota boys will be there in the crowd. And oh, well, anyway, moving down into the next one. Got the qualifying draw out. Oh, that's quite interesting.
You can speak a little bit about this, I guess. We've got Skatov there, 23rd seed. Comisana, I like him. The Argentinian, right?
Yep.
Gerasimov in qualifying. Combos. I mean, does he just always live in qualifying? Whatever happens is always just about the right ranking for qualifying. If you keep going down, who else do I like the look of? Moreno del Alboron, one of my favourite players. He's great. Pedro Martinez, another one who just loves a qualifier, will always be there. Mark Polmans as well, just lives in the qualifying. Dennis Novak. Just these guys are born for it. Benoit Paire, sad, isn't it, that he's now a qualified?
Yeah, it's part of me that just feels like he just doesn't care these days, but maybe that's just me. Maybe he does.
Doesn't Paire.
Yeah, he doesn't care, does Paire. Right, move down to the next one. Oh, this one. Was that an official tweet or was that just people? Okay, sorry, I'm not very good at this whole Twitter sphere.
Luigi Gatto, 2010 US Open, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic with their respective girlfriends.
Oh, that's a nice pick, isn't it?
Look how young they all are.
I know. Like a school photo.
Looks like Rafa's got like a little pink headband, but it's a flower.
It's proper Spanish, isn't it? It's typical he'd have that like flower in his hair. Why not? Flamenco style. Shouldn't have your photo taken with the press passes. All right.
Yeah, we got in trouble with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're getting in trouble with that as well. Pause it.
Yeah, I'll pause that. This is 2022 semi-finalist Sabalenka is back at the US Open. Great to see her back on court. She'll be one of the favourites for sure. What happened
to her against Mukova again?
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, Mukova's just got a number, I think.
If she faces Mukova at the US Open, Mukova beats her.
Yeah.
I thought it's written in the stars.
Mukova's actually one of those players that now is looking like an all-surface player and looks like she can go deep in every single tournament I think she plays in now, which is brilliant. Right. Favourite section now?
Yeah, that's latest news wrapped up. Let us know what you think and give us some latest news as well in the comments section, which maybe we've missed and we can react in the comments. But this section is the tennis shootout where me and Ben go head to head. Right. So I don't think I've been very successful on the last few. I don't think I've actually been successful at all at the US Open on the countdown. I've not got many right at all. I think you got the odd one right, which is bizarre for your standards, getting anything right on the countdown.
That's it.
But we've got 30 seconds. We've both got a question for each other, which we prepared, and it's got to be US Open related. I've been traveling all day. I've not slept much. So I've not had much time to think about this question. Usually I go into a different realm and find something weird and wacky. Today, I've not gone weird and wacky. I've gone back to basics, but it's definitely an important question, which I would hope you would get right. But you may not get right because you got it wrong last week, didn't you, about Serena Williams and Venus?
I mean, please. I mean,
You should get
I'm not-
50-50.
I'm not really good on the history. I'm not going to lie. It's just one of those things. Obviously, since we started doing the podcast, I think anything since we've been doing the podcast, I probably know much more than the
me
past.
too.
I was very much Wimbledon, like I was.
Well, you've got to remember, when we're doing these podcasts, we're revising because we're actually saying it out loud. So it's
exactly
solidifying it in our brains. When we used to watch tennis before, we used to watch it, but not really taking the stats so much.
Well,
you don't absorb it. But let's see what you've absorbed anyway in recent years, because this is a great question, and I'm going to be going first today. So get the music ready.
You're always first. All right, go on then.
Okay.
God.
So my question to you is this. There's been many young Grand Slam champions. But at the US Open, for the men's, who is the youngest US Open champion?
Oh, no.
The name and the year. Go.
The year? Ridiculous. I've struggled to get the actual name of the youngest US Open champion. My word.
You might know that. You should know it. Just think.
There's part of me thinks it could be someone like Bjorn Borg or someone like that. I don't know. Trying to think who was young winning. Boris Becker? Did he win any of them? That's always the one that you go for the answer of. Or it could be. What age was Sampras when he won his first one? He's normally my guy. Can't even think.
Right, I need an answer, Ben.
I mean, I'll go with Sampras.
And the year?
1991. That's terrible.
Oh, how old was Sampras in 1991? No. Right. So
right.
I can confirm it is correct. It is Pete Sampras. He was 19 years old, but it was in 2002.
Yeah, I've gone a bit too crazy there.
So you're about 11 years out with the dates, but you got the right name.
Always give me two-part questions all the time. Stop giving me two-part questions.
Well, you basically got it right because you got Pete Sampras, so well done. Obviously, he was 19 years and 29 days. The obvious one, which I thought you would say, was Carlos Alcaraz. He was also 19 years, but 129 days. So it was
I thought that was
100 days
too
apart.
obvious, though. There was part of me thought that's right in front of your face. I don't go for that one.
Yeah, but it was only 100 days in it, Alcaraz.
But Pistol Pete is my guy, so I thought you might be trying to just help me out by just picking my guy. So I went for Pistol Pete. But sorry, I just got his years completely wrong. I'm just like not up to date. If you ask me when the wars were, I'll probably get that wrong as well. That's how good my history knowledge is. Wasn't very good at that at school, I tell you. Right. Well, I'll just get half a point, do I? I don't know. I don't know.
Give you half.
I'll take it. Round it up. Right. Okay, I'll go on to my one. Isn't it weird? We both picked a question, and now I'm going to actually give you... I don't know how this works, but I always give you some possible answers. So I'm going to be giving you some possible answers to this. The oldest US Open champion. How weird that these are the questions that we picked.
You always go for old stuff.
We didn't confer, but you went for the youngest and I've gone for the oldest. So we could have gone for the same thing, but we didn't. The oldest US Open champion was Bill Larned in 1911. But how old was he? Was he A, 35, B, 38, C, 41, or D, 44?
Okay, this is not even open era, so it's ridiculous. So we've got 35, 38, 41, 43.
44. They're all like threes.
It wouldn't have been that old. I mean, I think it's... If I had to choose, I'm very much going for 38 then, I think. I hate to say it, but I feel like that is what I have to do.
Final answer?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be 38.
I'll let
You
the
probably
music play
tricked
out.
me and it's going to be old. But I feel like in that era, like, surely sportsmen couldn't play that late. There's all
They probably
drinking
were
and
retired
smoking
earlier.
and
Yeah, remember the footballers from the early days? They were
they retire
beers.
early.
Yeah, exactly. People didn't live past about 35, did they? I don't know. So you said 38. I can confirm that the oldest champion, Bill Larned, was 38 years, 8 months, and 3 days when he won the last of his 7 singles titles. There you go, JG. Bing, bing, bing. So we both sort of got it right, sort of.
No, I thought it had to be. I just don't feel like it was gonna be later than that. Like
Maybe I should have been a bit pushed them together a bit closer. I thought
I
that
thought you was gonna go 35, 36, 37, 38.
I did that on the last one, and you just made it far too confusing for
Yeah,
you.
if you
so I
did
thought
that, I would have struggled. I think I'd have gone 37.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I made it a little bit easier for you, and there you go. You got a right answer. So that's the end of the tennis shootout. We both sort of got one right for a change. Let me know if you got those ones right in the comment section as well. Move on to what's the next one?
The worst section ever. I absolutely hate it. It's called.
You got to big
Ranking
it up
Update.
a bit more. They're going to skip it
No,
otherwise.
it's terrible.
This one is the best version. We're only a week away.
Just skip it right now, everyone. It's called Rankings Update.
Don't skip it.
And Ben did a great video on this actually today, and it's about the seeds. So let's get it up, and we're not going to mess around. And it is the confirmed seeding for the US Open. First on the men's, Alcaraz confirmed number 1, Djokovic 2, Medvedev 3, Rune 4, Ruud 5, Sinner 6, Tsitsipas 7, and Rublev 8.
I thought you were going to go through them all then. I was like,
no,
oh.
just the top 8. And then we've got Struff in 22. That's a big one, Ben. Is Struff playing?
No, he's not, sadly. Yeah, I put him in there, but he's been replaced by, well, they've all shifted up, and Laszlo Djere has now filled the 32nd
It's always
spot.
Laszlo Djere.
He's always there, isn't he?
He's always there just sneaking in.
He does it all right in a
What's
few
the other
tournaments.
Serbian player? Kecmanovic. He snuck in when Djokovic kept getting...
Any of those players in there surprise you that they're in the seeds?
Well, Evans, he's had a really good few months, I guess,
tournament.
playing well. So, same with Greek Sport, playing well. Bublik's had some good spells for Kina. So, they all deserve it. They're all good, solid players. The only one who I don't feel like's done amazing, I know Manarino did win the title as well, but it's just him. Like, if I'd looked at all of them names, I feel the most disappointing probably this year. I think Hachanov's been good this year. He's pulled out of quite a bit, had a few injury problems. TFO's been a bit wobbly, not as good as he was last year. But aside from that, Manarino's my weakest one. Or Humbert.
Yeah, I mean...
But Humbert's coming back. He's actually been all right.
He's on the comeback. I feel that Manarino, I don't know how he snuck in into 23rd as well. He must have just been picking up points somewhere else. Well, we saw him at the challenge. He's just been playing challengers, picking up points just enough to get himself up there. Won a challenger, and now he's up into the top 20. Well, not top 20, top 23. The one player that I think is probably one of the most disappointing, 2 actually, they're next to each other, Felix and Norrie. I feel that those 2 this year, disappointing. I think Cam Norrie, he was Mr. Consistent like last year or the year before.
Yeah.
Now, he can barely string 2 wins together. He's lost his last 4 in a row. Not looking good coming into the US Open, old Cam.
Yeah, let's bring up the women's. So let's have a look at the seeding for that one.
There you go.
So we've got number 1, Iga, number 2, Sabah, number 3, Pegula, 4, Rybakina, 5, Jabeur, 6, Coco Gauff, 7, Garcia, and 8, Sakkari.
Yeah.
Sakkari being 8, of course. She likes getting to the final 8 or the final 4. Doesn't like getting beyond that, but she's shown she can get to a final recently. Could do well. Vondrousova's been outstanding this year, had her best one. I think Samsonova's had a good few weeks. Vekic, hot and cold, but I do like her. Cocciaretto's got to be the big surprise. Like, I wouldn't expect to have seen her at the US Open as like one of the top seeds, or a seed, sorry. And then the other surprise, I guess, would be Where's it gone? I just saw it a second ago. Lynette.
Well, yeah, the biggest surprise for me is how is Garcia still in the top 7?
I feel like she's got points from now to the end of the year.
I think so. She must have. I mean, for me, she hasn't played well in like a few weeks, to be honest. I mean,
I think give it a few months and she's going to drop big time.
I think she was quite well. She was really.
She had a
good
purple
this time
patch, but she's out of that purple patch now. I'm surprised the bookies have her so high.
Yeah, I mean, this year she's been to deep in Monterrey. She did all right in Lyon at the beginning of the year as well. Other than that, not really been past like third rounds, or she's lost 4 in a row coming into Cleveland. She just won her first match in 5 matches against Flavitova. But other than that, other people, Zheng, she's won a tournament recently, finally, for her first title. Kudermetova, probably one of the most disappointing, I'd say, losing to Venus Williams recently. But other than that, yeah, they all the similar names, though. None of them really budge, do they, from this seedings?
Yeah, there we go. That sums up the rankings update. Go check out Ben's video for a bit more detail. The last segment of the countdown is going to be surprise package, and we've come up with how it works now.
Oh, sorry, the spreadsheet.
So we've got a spreadsheet. We've put some maths behind it, and we're basically going to be rewarded for lower ranked players. You get more points if they advance through the event. Me versus Ben, and we've got a catalogue of players for the US Open. So we'll read out some of the ones we've got so far. So as you go down, this is our Roland Garros one. So the US Open, so far on the men's, I've got Eubanks, Lehechka, Berrettini, and Monfils. And you've got Hachanov, Zverev, Shelton, and Hurkacz. On the women's, I've got Keys, Fernandez, Andreescu, Collins. Collins turned terrible since I picked her. And you've got Andreeva, Svitolina, Parks, Navarro. I think that's terrible, mate. I don't know what you're doing. Your men's is better than your women's. I don't rate your women's ones at all. But let's add to this collection. Do you want to go first for the men's?
I'm gonna have to have a look down the list. I haven't really even given it a thought at the moment. But if you've got one in mind, then please go for it.
Well, I don't really have one in mind.
I know who I'm going to go for, actually. I don't know why I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue my theme, and everyone's going to be like, is he feeling all right? I don't know if I am feeling all right. I'm going to go for... the theme of mine is young Americans, so I'm going to keep it going, and I'm going to do it on the men's side, and I'm going to have Alex Mickelson.
I think that's
He's
ridiculous.
130 in the world.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm going to go for someone a bit older in mind to add to it. And it's going to be Andy Murray. I think he is value in a Grand Slam to beat someone big. He's shown it this year. Murray, good points on offer, and I think he's got Grand Slam pedigree.
Quite like that one. Sad I didn't pick Murray, but maybe I think I've got a theme. I think I've got too many. I've got 2 young female Americans and 2 young male Americans now.
Better on mine than yours.
Yeah, I mean, yours is definitely a stronger candidate, but probably higher ranked candidate. So maybe I've got some more points coming my way if they all do well. For the women's, I'm going to have to go down a list and just have a quick look just to see who I'm going to add. Do you have anybody in mind for yours?
Yes, I do. I'm going to be going for Sloane Stephens.
Ooh, that surprises me.
Yeah, I'm going to go Sloane Stephens. I was really impressed with her loss at Wimbledon. I thought she played very well against Beckett. And she's got pedigree at the US Open. We've seen what she's done here before. I like her. I think she's got the ability on her day to beat anyone. She's playing really well. Sloane Stephens for me is my pick. I feel like she's done something all right recently as well. Trying to bring it up.
Not really so sure, but
she did not do anything. Like she beat someone who I thought, oh, that's not bad. Have I just made that up?
I don't know. Go on.
Oh, she beat Garcia.
Okay.
I guess it's not that amazing, but yeah, she beat Garcia.
She beat Garcia. I mean, I don't
You're
know.
being
after
harsh
what
on Garcia.
After what, yeah, maybe.
Sorry, and the Vondrousova one at Cincinnati, it was straight sets, but it was a close 2 sets. I'm going Sloane Stephens anyway. I think she can turn it on at the US Open.
Right, so I reckon I should go for someone. I'm going to go down the rankings again, I think. And this one might be interesting. You've gone for Sloane Stephens. She's actually a former champion, don't forget, Sloane Stephens. So that is a wise pick. And I'm going to go for somebody else who's a Grand Slam champion, Sophia Kenin.
I thought you were going to write Keys then. I'm like, that's taken.
Keys. No, my keyboard is actually screwed. Every button I press seems to go about 10 times at the moment. And I think I need a new MacBook at the minute.
It's all right. I know a technician who can sort you out.
Oh, nice. Does it get fixed straight away?
Yeah, it takes 14 working days.
Is that all?
But no, Kenin, I don't like that pick. I'm glad you've got it. Just adds to your trash.
So there you go. Let us know your surprise packages. If you want to look at some of the previous tournaments there, I've just highlighted in pink anybody who made it past the quarterfinals. As you can see, there's no pink on JG's side yet. Maybe the US Open, he'll get some players through. Now he's got 20 to pick from.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time there, so we're not going to be looking at that pick.
Right.
But I can assure you my US Open ones will be better than Ben's. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section. Thanks for joining us for another countdown. 1 week to go. I'm going to be having an operation this week on my eyes, so bear with me if you see me with sunglasses on the next few streams. But thank you everyone for watching. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, do all the other stuff. And we will be back for one more countdown, depending on how I feel.
That's right. That one will be the night before the US Open begins.
See you guys then. Vamos.
Idemo.